What's up, y'all? Back again today with a very special video. So today I want to do something different, and I want to make this video particularly for my sons. It's Father's Day today, so I want to label this video Happy Father's Day. I'm not going to take too much of your time, but I do have something important to say. So this video is for Christian Lee, Cameron Lee, and Daniel Lee. I'll make my first claim for my first son. My first thing I want to say is to my firstborn son, Christian Lee, you are the light of my world. When you were born, I was 19 years old. Your mom was 18. Before you were born, I was just plain old Josh, plain old Joshua, J. Lee. I was hard-headed, I was arrogant, I was ignorant, I was selfish. And I was very prideful. And when I had you, or better yet, when I found out that your mother was pregnant with you, my first thought was that I didn't want to be a dad. So I tried to pressure your mom to get rid of the pregnancy. I told your mom, Chris, I told your mom I didn't want to be a dad. I was too young. I didn't know how to be a dad. So I tried to pressure her to get an abortion. I did. That's true. She might not, nobody ever may have told you that. But I'm telling you now because this is the truth. She didn't want to get an abortion. She knew she wasn't ready either. She was younger than me. She didn't know what it took to be a mother either, but she knew that she just didn't want to get rid of the baby. So me and her got into a few arguments over a few course of the weeks, because at the time it was me and your mom and your grandma and your aunt all staying in the same house. And so me and your grandma, should I say, your mom's mom, we didn't want you to be pregnant. We both thought that we weren't ready to be parents. So me and your grandma, we tried to get your mom to get rid of the pregnancy. And when she didn't, she became mad at both of us. And then me and your mom went to therapy. We went to counseling. And that's where your mom opened up to me and told me how upset she was at me that I wanted to get rid of the pregnancy. And from then on, that's when I said, okay, well, this is the reality. I have to get ready for this. So that's when we started doing the shopping for the cribs and the baby clothes and the diapers. And I just remember one particular time passing by the little boys section, the little infant boys section. And one of the shirts said, it was like a little onesie, and one of the shirts said, I love my daddy. And that was the first time I ever thought in my mind, wow, daddy. That's going to be my name. And it made me feel weird because I was so used to being called Josh and Joshua and Lee and Jay Lee and all this. But to think that my name would be Daddy just made me feel weird. I didn't know what it made me feel. So then we went and got an ultrasound, and that was the first time I actually saw you. They said you were the size of a jelly bean. They said you were this big. Your whole body was this big, right? And that was the first time I can truly say I fell in love with you, son, Christian. I wasn't ready. I know I wasn't. But God, for some reason, gave me the responsibility and the blessing of a child. And when I saw you on that ultrasound flipping around, and they put the screen on her belly, and you were just flipping around, you were just so active. I knew that you were my son. And I fell in love with you ever since then. And I told your mom after the ultrasound, I took her to Buffalo Wild Wings and I told her I would never, ever, ever tell her again to get an abortion. And I told her how sorry I was. I told her how sorry I was that I told her to get rid of you because you're so beautiful. I told her I would never tell her that again, and I was so foolish for telling her to get rid of you. And your mom is beautiful, inside and out. So we went forward with the pregnancy. You got bigger, started rubbing her belly and talking to you and playing music for you. And one day we were watching this show. We couldn't figure out a name for you. So we were naming all these names. Nobody could figure out a name. We thought maybe we should name you Joshua because that's my name. And maybe we should have a junior. And maybe we should name you Adrian because your mom's name is Adriana. And your uncle's name is Adrian. We thought so many different names. To finally, one day we were watching this show that we like. It used to be called Nip Tuck. And there was this doctor on that show that we liked. His name was Christian. And we were watching the show and I told your mom, I said, hey, what about Christian? And right then, we both were like, I like that. And when we went and told the rest of the family, hey guys, we think we're going to name him Christian. Everybody liked that name. There was every name that we came up with, there was always a problem. But Christian is one of the names that, Christian Lee. Because your middle name is Lee because my middle name is Lee. And Christian Lee, we said, wow, that sounds like it fits him. So that was your name. And I still remember the day that you were born. I was in the hospital with your mom and I was feeding her ice chips and rubbing her head and my mom and your mom's mom were all in the hospital because this was the first time I had been through this, and I was standing right over you as your mom was giving birth to you. Man, I'll tell you what, that's not a pretty sight, man. It's a crazy sight to see a woman have a baby, especially your woman have your baby. And it was intense. Blood and everything everywhere, right there. And the doctor said push, and I started to see your head come out. A big old head full of curly hair. You know, some babies don't have hair when they come out. The first thing I saw was the top of your head, and it was full of hair, full of curly hair. I said, that's my son? I said, that's his hair? The doctor said, yeah. So he said, push some more. She pushed again. Your whole head came out. Now, if you can imagine, this little thing that you're coming out of, just like this. And she said, push, and all of a sudden, your whole head just came out. Your whole head just came out. And then your whole body followed. Cut the umbilical cord. You started crying. And me, I felt so many emotions. First, I felt disgusted because all of the blood. I felt scared because all of the blood. I didn't know if she was going to be okay, if you were going to be okay. I was anxious. I was nervous because, mind you, the whole pregnancy, I was calm and collected. Even on the way to the hospital, I was the one that was calm. But right when you were coming out, I was nervous. I was scared. I was happy, anticipation. Didn't know if I was ready to be a dad. But all the emotions hit me at once. So, after all these emotions hit me, I looked down and you were here. You were finally here. The little boy that I saw that was a little jelly bean flipping around, the little boy that I was talking to in the belly for 9 months, you were finally here. And you were so beautiful. You looked you look like me. You look just like me and your mom. It was so beautiful. I was the first face you saw. When your eyes opened, they laid you on this little bed. It's like a little bitty crib with a light on top of it, and the light was warm because the hospital room was cold. So they had this little bed with the light on top that kept you warm while you were naked. They wiped all the little blood off you and laid you down there butt naked, and you were crying with your eyes closed, and I came up to the side of you and whispered in your ear and said, "Hey man, it's your daddy. It's your daddy. Wake up." And you opened your eyes and you looked at me and you calmed down and you stopped crying. You just stared at me. For the first time ever, I felt like I saw God, because you looked at me with these eyes that I had never seen before. These brand new fresh eyes that weren't tainted by the world yet, weren't tainted by ego and jealousy and lies. It was just a brand new life staring at me with honesty. And it was so vulnerable, and I knew from that moment that I had to protect you. And I knew that God made me your father for a reason, Chris. So I whispered and I kissed you and I told you I'm your dad, and I made you a promise. I said, I'll never leave you. And I said, I'll never lie to you. I can't make you a million promises like I'll get you a nice house and I'll get you every pair of Jordans and I'll buy you a Lamborghini when you're 18. I couldn't make those promises. But I made you a promise that I knew I could keep. I will never leave you. Meaning I will never leave you by my choice. And I will never lie to you. And to this day, I've never broken those promises. Even though I haven't seen you, son, I've never broke those promises. I never left you. And I would never lie to you. Those promises are still true. You have one person in this world who would never leave you and never lie to you. No matter what. That's me. So moving forward, the first night that I saw you and I had you, I was asleep on the little couch right next to your mom's bed while she was asleep, and 3 in the morning you started crying. And it was just me, you, and her in the room. Everybody else had went home. The doctors weren't there, and you started crying in your little bed. And I woke up and I saw you there, and I picked you up. This is the first time I picked you up, put you on my chest, and laid down with you and went to sleep. That night I had a dream. The dream I had that night changed my life. I'm going to tell you what that dream was. So, as I said, I was laying down with you on my chest and I went to sleep. This was the first night that you and I slept together. I raised my shirt up. I had like a tank top on. I raised my shirt up so that your chest, your bare chest, could be on my bare chest. And I put our flesh together, and I put your heart on my heart, and I went to sleep with you on my chest, a little baby, on the sofa. I laid back and went to sleep. That night I had a dream that I was in the streets, and it was storming. I mean, I'm talking the worst storm you've ever seen, almost like a hurricane, just a lot of rain coming down, thunder, lightning, and I was in the streets and I was alone. I don't know why I was alone, but I just knew that I was alone. And then I looked up and I saw people from our family on the other side of me just looking at me with their arms folded, mad at me, shaking their head in disappointment. And I didn't know why they were mad at me, why they were disappointed, but I just knew that they were disappointed in me and they were mad at me. And I felt so much anger and rage, and the more anger and rage I felt, the more thunder and lightning came down. Mind you, remember, this was in my dream. All the lightning and thunder was coming down. I felt so much rage and anger. And then I saw your mom standing across from me, and she also had her arms crossed, and she was also shaking her head, and she was mad at me. And I didn't know why, but I was mad at her too. And then I looked down and I saw that she was pregnant with you in this dream. So then I immediately went up to her stomach and I rubbed the stomach, and I put my ear to her stomach, and I felt a rumbling in her stomach, and I felt you kicking and punching and screaming. I felt that you were just as angry as me in that stomach. And just then in that dream I said, God, no, please don't let him feel what I feel. Please don't let him feel this anger. I'll do anything. I promised God. I said, I'll do anything if you just protect my son and don't let him end up like me. Don't let him be angry and bitter like me. Don't let him feel this anger like me. Don't let him hold on to this rage like I do. And I promised God in that dream that I would do anything and I would give my life if he would just protect you. And that's when I woke up from the dream. And when I woke up from the dream, I didn't even realize I was dreaming. And I was like, where am I at? And I realized I was in the hospital room, and I looked down and I forgot that I had you on my chest. And when I looked down, you had woken up and you looked up at me and you smiled. Now, most people say infants don't really smile like that, especially a brand new not even 1 day old baby aren't supposed to smile, but you looked dead in my eyes and you gave the biggest smile, no teeth, just gums, just looked up at me and smiled, the biggest smile. And I just started to cry, tears of joy, because I knew that God had answered my prayers and he had agreed to my prayer. Because I told him that I would do anything to protect you. And that smile to me, when you smiled at me, I knew that God was telling me that our covenant had been made. And then I started laughing and crying at the same time, and I looked down at you again and you smiled at me again. I'm not lying, son. You smiled like 5 times at me. You just kept smiling at me. And I just kept crying, and I felt the presence of God and the presence of his angels in that room. For the first time in my life, I felt the real presence of angels surrounding and encamping the room. I felt the angels and I saw the angels in that room. They were standing around me in a circle. And I felt so blessed to have you. And I made a promise that I would protect you and I would give my life for you. And I hate to be so dramatic, but you know how I am. So from then on, of course, we took you home after a few days and learned how to bathe you. Me and your mom learned how to change you. I helped her breastfeed you. We learned how to make baby bottles. We learned how to wake up at 3, 4 in the morning to crying. We learned how to be patient. We learned so many things from having you, son. And I just remember when we left the hospital, me and your mom were in the back seat with you. You were so tiny. You were so tiny. We had the smallest car seat, and you were still just drowning in the car seat. We put the little buckles on you, and you were just so little. These little pants and your little legs were like that big. That's how I knew you were my son, because you were so little. And me and your mom, on our way home in the back seat, we just both looked outside, and I remember telling her, why does it look different? And she agreed, and we both realized that the streets looked different, the buildings and the trees looked different, and the sky looked different for some reason. The whole world looked different after I had you. And that's because you made my life better, son. You're my firstborn son. And I love you. I love you with all my heart. And I made this video on Father's Day for you and your brothers. This is part 1. I'm going to make part 2 for Cameron Lee, and I'm going to make part 3 for Daniel Lee. But this one is for you, Chris. You're a good big brother. You don't have to share this video. This video is just for you. You're a great big brother. You are the best big brother. You are the best child. You have done wonders for me. You have saved my life. Without you, I may be dead or in jail or strung out on drugs. You have made me a better man. You made me want to get rid of all the imperfections in my life, to better myself, to show you an example of what you can be and how great you can be. And you can be better than me. And the fact that you know how to draw, and you're so passionate and you're compassionate, and you love other people, and everything about you shows me the greatest piece of myself. On my best day, I'm only a piece of how great you are on your worst day. You're so much better than me. Even at your young age, you're so much better than me. And I praise God and his angels for allowing me to feel the blessing that is you. You're a genius. You are everything I ever wanted. And even though I haven't seen you in a long time, I still love you. I always love you. I think about you every day. Now, some people will call me a deadbeat dad because I haven't seen you in a long time and because me and your mom aren't together. And that's fine what they call me. But I just want you to know, son, from my mouth to yours, my soul to yours, that I never broke that promise that I made to you in the hospital bed. I'm never going to leave you. And I'm never going to lie to you. Yes, I have things I need to work on. My anger has always been an issue. My lust, the way I look at women, has always been an issue. I'm telling you this because it may be in you, son, and you may need to understand why these things are in you. I might not be able to tell you at a later date, so you need to know now. You need to learn your imperfections. You need to learn the things that make you weak. You need to learn your triggers so that when they start coming on, you can defeat them. You have the power through God and through Christ to defeat the enemy. All negative aspects of our personality are from the enemy. We can destroy the enemy with God's word, son. As I always told you, God is in you and God is in others. The way you treat yourself and the way you treat others show us how you feel about God. So please know that. Please continue to take care of your brothers because they need brotherhood. Just like the Ninja Turtles, and I always told you I was Master Splinter, you were Leonardo, and your brother's Donatello, your other brother's Michelangelo. It's true. But some days Master Splinter's not there and Leonardo has to go out and tell his brothers what to do. And that's you, Chris. If anything were to happen to me, you're the next up. You're the next lethal. So I'm telling you this to be a better man than I was. I love you, son. Happy Father's Day. And with that being said, please vibrate higher.